right, welcome to the Cover 2 podcast. I am Wyatt here with Ethan. Podcast brought to you by Cooper Sports. Ethan, good to have you here. Another exciting weekend of football. We're coming down now to just 3 games left. There's not even going to be a Pro Bowl game this year. So 3 games of football left for the 2022-2023 season. It's getting kind of sad, but also we have 2 really good games this weekend. And so we'll dive in. We will recap a little bit of last week, but first I want to throw it off to Ethan. I know we did have a challenge. I unfortunately lost 3 in a row. Did get a big win last weekend with Cincy spread. Ethan was on the Bills spread. So I was glad to get a win there. And Ethan, those Bills have kind of, me and you have been on the wrong side of the Bills, like the Titans, for a couple of times this season. So what are your thoughts on that game and any words of what you think is going to happen in Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start by saying, when I don't say often, I was just dead wrong on that game. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I was actually down pretty bad Sunday, like just emotionally watching the game. I mean, they never had a chance, and afterwards, barely even tuned into the night game. I was just so depressed, basically. Um, didn't lose a ton of money or anything. It was my only loss of the weekend, actually, but I've just grown to kind of like Buffalo. Really wanted them to go to the Super Bowl. Had a couple futures on them to win the Super Bowl, so I guess that could have uh, not helped the depression. But yeah, I mean, since he looked good, Buffalo just looked horrible. I think their window's still open for another year or two. I think they need a few key pieces back in the lineup. I think missing Micah Hyde was huge for them the majority of the year, and then I think if they just go out, get a running back, and kind of establish the run, maybe get another receiver. So they don't have to rely so much on Stephon Diggs, because I don't think Gabe Davis is very good. Um, yeah, and then just kind of shore up that defense a little bit. But yeah, I'm dead wrong. That's one of my worst picks of the year. Just never had a shot. What are you gonna do? But yeah,
Yeah,
like you said, it was the challenge. I will get to this quick because, like you said, we only have 2 games this week. Probably gonna be a quick episode, and I'm gonna take on this crazy sour legs guy. It's 6 feet of sugar candy. It's probably about the width of a pencil. So yeah, I'm just gonna start and try to get through it throughout the show.
okay. This
I
was
just gotta,
a Christmas gift from your grandma, correct?
yeah, it was just sitting next to my stocking on Christmas morning, and yeah, my grandma got it for me. I don't know where, why. Don't know when else I would eat this, so it kind of works out well for the show.
Yeah,
But
that's perfect. And while Ethan begins to do that, I do have a challenge that I will be doing tomorrow. This was my one from last week when I lost my 3rd one in a row. So the challenge is, if you can't tell, we're big Michigan fans. The state of Michigan, I would say. He's a Michigan State, as you can tell by all of his ugly green, and I am obviously the University of Michigan in my amazing blue. But my challenge has been over the course of the last week. So it was taking Michigan State. I was a week-long fan of the Spartans. I'll just comment real quick on that. It's tough. It's tough. Those guys they're a different breed. And I know that the State fans say the same thing about us Michigan fans being annoying, but God, are Spartan fans annoying. But so the challenge was, for every point that Michigan lost by on a 3-game stretch, I had to run a mile. First game looked great. They won, beat Rutgers in a pretty good battle. Here goes Ethan.
like a beer bong.
I didn't know it was all connected.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there were 2 separate sticks there.
Mm. That's gonna be tough.
That's a lot of sugar, man.
I'm
How
actually
much did
shocked. I
how
thought
much
it'd
did
be
that
more.
how much did that gulp get you down? Right where your fingers at?
Got me through the pink and just about a little bit of the orange.
Oh my
Yeah, I don't know if you can
God.
see that very well.
Yeah.
So I still got orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then I gotta do it twice.
Is it sour or is it just sugary?
um, yeah, not too sour as advertised, but sugary as could be. I mean, just straight sugar.
Here he goes
It's
again.
I think it's 44 grams of sugar.
That's your daily intake for sure. You're hitting those numbers.
Mhm.
Michigan State's second game, unfortunately, they lost to Indiana by 13. So as of right now, 2 games in, I have 13 miles to run. Um, my stomach hurts for you.
Mhm.
That's tough.
It's gonna be an interesting night.
Yeah, we both did the one chip and that ruined our stomach quite a bit. That was a different type of stomach hurt. This one just might be a sugar overload.
Yeah.
So since I had the 13 miles on Michigan State, Ethan thankfully offered me some options to mile shave. So I will be taking Hogard assist tonight. So every Hogard assist, if you don't know who he is, just look at the ugliest guy on Michigan State. Every assist that he gets, I will deduct half a mile from my total. And then to add on to that, I have followed and will follow the Michigan State basketball Twitter page for the remainder of the basketball season. And that has gotten me a mile off. So hopefully Michigan State wins. They are the favorite tonight by 2, I believe. 2.5 against Iowa at home. So I will run whatever remains tomorrow morning. I have already begun meal prepping and taking in some water to hopefully prepare for this trek. But yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully Michigan State can win tonight, and my fandom of Michigan State can end hopefully pretty soon.
I was a little bit sad that they lost. Well, I was a lot of bit sad they lost to Indiana, especially the way they did. But I was thinking there's a chance if they went 3-0 that we'd get a little bit of a, not a Sparty fan, but just a little less hate. But I think after that loss to IU, it's probably a lot more hate.
Yeah, I
So
wish I knew Indiana is playing the best basketball of the year right now, but oh
yeah,
well, it makes it interesting.
yep. All
All
right.
right, so I'll let Ethan do another gulp here. We want to get into the divisional round recap. So we have those 4 games. I will start by saying Ethan was spot on with his analysis of the point totals for this weekend. So if you're not aware, Wild Card Weekend went 5-1 on the point totals going over, and then on divisional round, Ethan called it 4-0 on the unders. I believe he was on all 4 unders.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Absolutely amazing there. Great call. For as wrong as he was with the Bills, he was absolutely right with this. So I think that cancels out. And if not, this is more impressive than the Bills loss. So yeah, we'll start first. What do you have to say about the points there? I mean, you're absolutely right. Was your thought process just simply overs went in first round, unders go in second round?
Um, what I liked about the over sitting in the first round is I just thought we'd get more value on the unders, an extra 2-3 points on each game. And then I just thought the matchups are probably going to be a little bit tighter. The further into the playoffs, you tend to get tighter, better matchups, better teams that match up against each other well. So yeah, I actually played it. I liked the first game a lot. Kansas City, Jacksonville. I liked that under quite a bit. So I started there, and then I just played them since they were all standalone games. I was just going to play them until 2 lost in a row. So yeah, I ended up having a 5-1 weekend on all 4 unders. Then had that teaser with Kansas City, Philadelphia, and then the one loser on the Bills. But yeah, I just thought there was too much value.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you got for championship weekend, but we'll get into that after our preview. So we'll start on that game you first mentioned, Jacksonville, Kansas City. The biggest news about that game, not Jackson. Patrick Mahomes, not his brother. Patrick Mahomes sprained or did something to his ankle. Actually came out for a little bit in I believe it was the first or second quarter. My boy from Michigan, still in the league, had to look him up. Chad Henne didn't complete a pass all year, was 0 for 2 on the season, had a nice little touchdown drive in there. And it was uncertain if Patty Mahomes was going to return, but it looked like the Chiefs were okay with 37-year-old Chad Henne at the helm there. So, yeah, the biggest thing there, and Patrick did return. So he looked okay. He was hobbling, but he was still making some throws. And obviously they got the win 27-20 over Jacksonville. But his health for the remainder of the playoffs, especially this weekend's game, is definitely in question. And I think the lines have kind of adjusted to that. I see that we'll get into it in a second, but I see a line movement here that's on this list. So we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to add one more thing about Jacksonville. Great season. You know, they were, what did they get? Trevor Lawrence 2 years ago as the number one overall pick. And now in just 2 years, they have made it to the divisional round of the playoffs. I wish Detroit could turn around that fast. Maybe they will, but it's impressive what Jacksonville has done, in my opinion, that quick. And I was very critical on Trevor Lawrence, but he kind of seems like he's figuring it out. You know, this upcoming season will be his third year in the NFL. You know, maybe he continues to make strides and Jacksonville continues to be impressive. But yeah, they're in a crappy conference, which I think they get credit for. And then, yeah, I mean, I think they just battle. They come back from deficits and they don't really give up. So I was proud of Jacksonville. I think a lot of that's getting brushed under the table how quickly they have came back and into action and into competition. So I think that should be applauded. But obviously, Kansas City was a better team and are moving on for the 5th consecutive year in the AFC Championship, which is the most unreal stat I've ever heard of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, obviously the biggest
huge rant there.
No, you're good. Obviously the biggest news, Pat Mahomes. But seems to be okay. Like you said, Chad Henne, I mean, he balled out. I wouldn't hate the Chiefs this week if Chad Henne was their starting quarterback. I really wouldn't. At least to cover the number. But yeah, to speak on Jacksonville, I tweeted out a couple days ago. I can't wait to bet on Jacksonville next year. Trevor Lawrence looks like he's the guy we were expecting him to be when he was getting all the hype at Clemson and even before Clemson. So yeah, hell of a season for them. I also, it's pretty known at this point that I kind of give a lot of hell to Cincinnati over the years or over this year. I don't know if maybe I'm jealous of how quick their turnaround was from getting Joe Burrow into the Super Bowl. So maybe that's why I don't like them very much. So who knows? Jacksonville might be next on my list there if they keep doing the quick turnaround thing. As Detroit, you know, when they get the first overall pick, they go from 3-13 to 5-11 the next year. They never go make the playoffs and let alone the championship game or the Super Bowl. But yeah, excited to see where Jacksonville goes next year. This year they were plus 750 to win that division at the beginning of the season. Kind of kicking myself for not really ever thinking about them in the futures market. But next year, I'm sure you won't get any value on Jacksonville as far as that division goes. But yeah, I'll be looking at a couple futures on them to make a deep run in the playoffs next year.
Yeah, I like that. And I did take the future on Jacksonville. Unfortunately, I took season under wins, and that never had a chance. So I was on the wrong side of Jacksonville. I was kind of hoping for the demise. One more thing I want to add about that, which I thought was kind of weird in regards to the Chad Henne situation. So obviously, Chad Henne was in for, I believe, 1 or 2 drives, led him to that touchdown drive. And, you know, I believe at that point in time, Kansas City was up by a decently respectable amount. But regardless of that, they threw Patrick Mahomes back in. He tried a couple of times, hobbled off. At halftime, didn't look like he was going to return. I was just wondering why they threw him in so quick. It didn't make a whole lot of sense for Chad, who had a successful drive. And there's a little bit of sour in you.
Wrong pipe.
He had the successful drive. It wasn't like he won 3 an hour, was turning the ball over. Like, he played okay, if not really good. And they decided to throw Patrick back in, and it was looking like they're going to win the game anyways. So I was a little interested to see why not just rest them. I guess they were worried about possibly another Jacksonville late game comeback, but that was weird on my end. And yeah, I thought they would maybe save him a little bit, but they threw him right back into it, even though he was hobbling and really couldn't take a drop to save his life or put any pressure on that foot.
Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. I thought they were going to have him active still and just roll with Chad Henne until Chad showed that he maybe wasn't going to be able to get the job done. So I was surprised by that as well. I am finished with I finished 1 tube here, so 3 feet down, 3 feet to go. Yep.
How's the stomach? You feeling any sugar yet, or is that going to be an after the show thing?
Yeah, so the stomach so far so good. But I am definitely getting like that sugar buzz, little
There
sugar
you
high
go.
for sure. So
It's about time you get a buzz on the show. I had that shoey. I had well, I guess we both kind of got that head buzz from the chip, but
yeah,
yeah. All right, moving on to I think was my favorite game of the weekend, just because we were so right and Derek and Mike were were so wrong. But that Giants Eagles game, Eagles win that one without even a heartbeat from the Giants, 38-7. Saquon couldn't run the ball. Danny Dimes, their franchise quarterback, who's going to get this new deal, couldn't throw the ball, couldn't run the ball. And the Eagles didn't really have to do anything. Jalen Hurts threw the ball, I think, for like 140 yards. He had 2 early touchdowns, and then he didn't really do much the rest of the game because he didn't have to. They ran the ball fine. Their defense was stellar. And the Giants, we all knew were frauds. I don't know why everyone jumped on them after beating the most fraud team in the NFL the previous week, the Vikings. Um, it was just funny that people were jumping on these Giants, and I don't know if it's like a Yankees thing or a New York thing to just get false hope on a team. I'm guilty of it. I'm betting Michigan tonight versus Purdue, but like I don't understand why everyone thought that win against the Vikings, which by the way was a 7-point win. It wasn't like they blew them out of the water. Was like a really impressive feat, and now they're this team that has Danny Dimes and their defense and all that stuff, and then no, they just got spanked for the third time this season against the Eagles. And I was laughing. Philly looks good, man. Hurts, he looked not fully healthy, but he didn't have to do much in this game. And if you can win 37 or 38-7 and not do anything really, besides 2 early touchdowns, that's a win in my book. And yeah, Philly, I'm so excited for this Philly San Fran game. And yeah, I just love the Giants' demise, man. I love that.
yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Just it went. I'll start by saying I was kind of back and forth um, on that game all week up until our show last week. I don't know if you remember, but I actually started on the Giants. I had them written down, and then I completely flipped to Philly. Um, so yeah, I was pretty happy. That's kind of what I was thinking could happen at that point when I had flipped back to Philly. Um, the worst thing about it for this game for me, I was out at the bar trying to keep tabs on that little TV right over the bar that they have there, and I had the under in this game, like I had mentioned, and somehow I had to sweat that out because I forgot who it was. Kenneth Gainwell maybe scored on the when he could have just fallen down after the first down,
Right.
and they could have just needed out. Um, so they scored. I thought New York would get a garbage time touchdown to ruin the under, but thankfully they were the ones that shut it down and started running the ball with 2 minutes left instead of trying to score there. So um, that got a little more sweaty than I would have liked, but yeah, I mean, you said it. I don't know why people were jumping all over New York because they beat Minnesota. Just both teams were fraudulent all year. So
Right. Yeah, that was a good one just to be right. So right on one. We need those bets because we're usually wrong most of the time. We have a couple good takes, but the amount of wrong takes we have compared to good takes is quite different. So it was good to finally have one so right that I gain a little bit of confidence there. Moving on to the game, the reason why Ethan is doing these the sugar sour legs is that Cincinnati Buffalo game. Um, Joe Burrow takes out the Bills 27-10. Josh Allen, again, the same thing we've seen all postseason, all kind of late in the season as well, as he's been struggling to make those plays, making bad decisions, just not looking what he's supposed to be an MVP candidate. And I know, he's still phenomenal. He's still one of my favorite players, but when you get to be that good, you have a lot of people looking at you and criticizing everything you do. And rightfully so. I think he deserves to be criticized. He did not play how an MVP candidate should be playing in the postseason. And I did write this down, but and everyone talks about Dallas' struggles in the postseason. This really isn't a huge thing in our lifetime. I guess a little bit, but like Dallas really hasn't been that team. The last couple of years, Buffalo has been that team. They're usually always, if not the Super Bowl favorite, they're number one or number two or number three. And I'm kind of wondering if Buffalo's kind of turning into that new Dallas where they struggle in the postseason, where they have all these high hopes. And I don't want to say that's Dallas anymore, because Dallas really is never the Super Bowl favorite these last couple of years. They're always, decently good. They'll have decent odds to win their division, but they're never top five in the Super Bowl contenders. And Buffalo, for as long as Josh Allen's been there, maybe not his rookie year, but every other year, they're top three to win the Super Bowl every single season. And we have yet to see them make it to the Super Bowl, let alone past the divisional round. So I think I don't know. I think they can become under scrutiny pretty soon here, because they are turning into this team that can't finish. And, that's been Buffalo in I believe the 80s or 90s. They lost 4 straight consecutive Super Bowls. Obviously, me and you were not born during that time period, but man, they're not even getting there yet, and they are completely loaded besides running back, which you mentioned. So it's just, to me, that's a big note that we need to point on. I won't talk about Cincy yet. I'll pass it over to you, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, completely agree. I won't touch more on that game. It just gutted me. But yeah, Buffalo, I mean, yeah, just underperforming for sure. They're already the favorite to win it next year too,
Yeah.
which I mean, yeah, they're probably gonna have a good offseason. But I can't bet Buffalo again next year. They're kind of becoming the Maple Leafs of the NHL.
Yeah.
Just always the team that gets hyped up every year and they just can't get out of the first round of the playoffs. Buffalo at least has a couple playoff wins, but they can't get, like you said, to the championship game or the Super Bowl. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't want to make excuses for Buffalo, but I think a lot of the reason why I like to play on Buffalo, I think in the end kind of came back to hurt them. They did deal with a lot this year. And I think some teams kind of thrive on that adversity, and maybe it didn't help Buffalo quite as much as I had thought it would. Um, so I don't know if that got to them. I mean, Josh Allen's been kind of banged up all year. Like I said, the secondary and that defense kind of banged up. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I think Buffalo's going to be just as good next year, probably better. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win their division more than likely. Um, so yeah, I mean, we'll see if they can come out next year and do anything better. I did want to mention, I don't know if you saw Brandon Bean, the Bills GM, I believe,
Oh
talking
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah,
Jamar Chase.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought that was a pretty sore loser, low blow type of comment that he had made. For those that didn't see it, basically said, we don't want to suck bad enough to have to go get a Jamar Chase in the draft. And saying that since he is lucky that they still have Burrow and Jamar Chase on rookie contracts. Um, I mean, at one point, Allen was on his rookie contract. I guess they were paying Diggs a hefty salary, but yeah, I mean, you have to go ups and downs to eventually get to the top. So I don't think Buffalo's obviously not in that space right now to go dip down to a top 5 pick. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of a low blow comment to a team that just kicked your ass.
Yeah, it was so condescending. He was, gave a compliment to Jamar by shitting on the Bengals. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you. I mean, yeah, Cincinnati was bad. They weren't great. They got Burrow with the first overall pick. They got Jamar. Obviously, you did not have some good seasons, but no one's talking about Buffalo before they had Josh Allen. They
Right.
were terrible. They were in the same boat. So like this was you guys 2, 3 years, however old, 4 years ago. Like this was your exact team. Like you're
Right.
making the same case. Like it doesn't make any sense. And sorry they drafted better than you, and sorry they've rebuilt faster and stronger and better than you as well. Like that it's kind of knocking on your own coaching ability and your
Right.
own drafting ability. So yeah, I didn't care for it. He's obviously getting a lot of backlash on that. And I think rightfully so. But yeah, I thought that was a little bush league. And if you're gonna criticize the Bengals, do it after you play them, because this is a team that just gains momentum on the narrative of being the underdog. And this team loves it. They did it last year. I have a really good feeling they could possibly do it on Sunday. You do not want to give this team momentum because they are absolutely terrifying offensively. Moving into this final game, I will make a quick note. I actually had a really bad weekend, Saturday and Sunday, betting wise. I was struggling finding bets that were hitting. I got a little greedy and was doing some ridiculous player props, but I had 3 parlays all over plus 1,000 odds. Um, all 3 of them missed by one leg. 2 of them in that Dallas game. So I had Jacksonville plus 8.5. I had the Eagles minus 7.5. I had Cincy plus 5.5, and I had Dallas plus 4. Obviously, Dallas lost 12-19 against San Fran. So there goes that parlay. The second parlay had all touchdown scores. I had Kelsey, I had Hurts, I had Josh Allen, and then I had CD Lamb. Obviously, CD didn't score, and there that one goes. And my best and funnest bet of the weekend, which I will do once again this weekend, is that first kick touchback. That also went 3 out of 4, losing in that snowstorm in Cincy Buffalo. So just really, I wasn't great on my straight backs, but I had these opportunity to go up huge amounts of units on these parlays, and they all just fell a leg short. And I'm just pretty pissed at Dallas before I get into this game. So that's the reason I'm going to criticize Dallas pretty hard here. But yeah, they lose that game 12-19. Somehow Brock Purdy keeps winning. He did not play great. I want that to be known. He did not have a super good game. If you're looking at Dallas, what the flying fuck are you doing defensively? The easiest pass for a quarterback is the slant, or if you want to do one little degree of harder, is the skinny post. And that's all Brock Purdy was throwing. The slant on the end of the game, like he had 4 or 5 slants in a row. They're not guarding the inside. That's a couple skinny posts to Kittle. And Dallas just couldn't guard it. Their defense has been the story all year. This supposedly great defense. Micah Parsons can talk all he wants on Twitter. He didn't do shit in that game. And I know Debo was talking back. Debo didn't do anything either. But defensively, Dallas looked terrible, and I'm very disappointed in them. Obviously, Dak had 2 interceptions, not his greatest game. But their defense is supposed to be what keeps them alive. If you can hold San Fran at 19, you should be able to be competitive in that game. And I was just pretty pissed off at Dallas, obviously, because they lost me a couple parlays, but not super high on Dallas. And obviously, Dallas sucks. As Lions fans, we live and die by that. But yeah, San Fran moves on. I am telling you right now, I'm not going to bet on San Fran this weekend. I am just counting down the days so Brock Purdy does something stupid and loses a game. But disappointing end to the divisional round weekend. Not a very exciting game, and obviously a tough loss on my end.
I'll pull out the Dallas sucks for you. I'm gonna go a step further. Michael Parsons sucks because God, I talked about it on something last week. I don't think it was this show, but the dude just took the last 7 weeks of the regular season off, completely blew up my Michael Parsons Defensive Player of the Year plus 600 ticket. And then his motors all of a sudden back to where it needed to be in the playoffs. Like you said, he didn't really do much this past Sunday, but at least, I mean, he plays a hell of a lot harder, which I can't necessarily blame the guy, but dude, Nick Bosa doesn't turn it off. Like, come on. So yeah, a little upset with Parsons there. I would probably be betting him again for Defensive Player of the Year because I just don't know if he's going to show up every game, like some of these other guys like TJ Watt and Nick Bosa will. Like I mentioned earlier, I was just completely gutted over the Buffalo game. Just watched this one with tears in my eyes. So I don't have much to say on it. I think at the end of the day, San Fran just outcoached and outskilled Dallas. Again, Dallas only beat Tampa Bay to get this far in the playoffs. Tampa Bay was fraudulent all year as well, as much as mostly myself, but you too, in a sense, kept wanting them to be good and kept kind of betting on them, thinking they would turn the corner, and it just never really happened. They were lucky to be in such an awful division this year to even make the postseason. So yeah, I mean, Dallas looked good throughout the year. They had their ups and their downs, but I think at the end of the day, just outcoached and outplayed by a better team.
Yeah, it was just disappointing, and I don't really care too much for Dallas. So beside, if it wasn't for me losing money on it, I would be very happy. But obviously, money moves most of my emotions. But all right, we'll get into our NFC and AFC championship preview. It is championship weekend. 2 really competitive games. The first game, I believe, is that San Fran Philly game. The 49ers are traveling to the Eagles. I feel like the 49ers haven't been on the road in forever. The Eagles, as of now, are a 2.5 point favorite. Over under is set at 46.5, according to DraftKings. I'll start with this one. I absolutely love the Eagles in this. I just said I'm waiting for Brock Purdy to kind of have his downfall. And from what Philly did last weekend, both defensively and offensively. Offensively, they didn't even try. Like they weren't really doing it. They were just running basic plays. Hurts played a really good first quarter. Besides that, they were just coasting, and they ended up putting 38 points on. I know we can't, take too much credit for beating a crappy Giants team, but still pretty impressive on my book. And then again, San Fran, I'm just waiting for Brock Purdy to make a mistake. And I love the kid. I liked him in college. I'm rooting for him, but I just don't think he can continue to play well because he struggled against Dallas. He was making the easiest throws, and that's on Dallas for not making adjustments. Philly has the sixth best passing defense in the league. Their D line is phenomenal, full of veterans, and I just think their pass game is going to get shut down. And then we saw what Philly does to the running backs. They shut down Saquon, probably the best running back in the league, if not behind or Christian McCaffrey. So it's going to come down. They're going to stop the passing game. Then it's going to come down to, can San Fran run the ball? And I don't think they can. So I think Philly's going to win this one. I'm not going to do anything on the over-under in this game. I would lean the under. It has moved a little bit up. So I guess I would lean the under. But I really do like Philly on this game at the spread and possibly a 2-unit money line play.
Yeah, so I agree with you on the under 46.5. I do think that is probably the right side there. I actually love San Francisco though. I'll take the plus 2.5 to be safe, but I like them on the money line. Um, it kind of sucks for them that they do have to travel cross country to Philly, but I'm kind of playing their defense here, and defense tends to travel pretty well. So not too worried about that. Philly is 8-2 at home, have quite the home field advantage, as you were lucky enough to see earlier this year. But San Francisco 5-3 on the road. Their 3 losses came early in the year before week 6. They had that loss week 1 against Chicago with Trey Lance, and then 2 losses with Jimmy Garoppolo before they really turned it on. So I think they're a much better team now. Yards per play last 3, San Fran is 4th, Philly 9th. Yards per play against last 3, San Fran 14th, Philly 4th. So San Fran better offensively as of late, Philly a little bit better defensively. But I think Philly's just had kind of a lesser schedule. Other than the Giants and the Cowboys, who are in their own division, who made the playoffs, they only played the Vikings back in week 2 and the Jags back in week 4 were the only other playoff games on their schedule. So in their last 6 games, they were 4-2. 3 of those wins were all against the Giants, and then they beat the Bears. So just not too impressed with the schedule. Obviously, you don't pick your schedule. They beat the team that was in front of them. Can't really fault them for that, but I'm just more impressed with the route that San Fran has had to get here. I think they're more battle tested. So I do like San Fran. I'll probably take the points to be safe. Hoping it gets up to 3. I would really like that, but I think they went outright. I think I actually heard a stat that in the divisional round, teams that win also cover. It's like 72, 11, and 1 or something crazy like that. So I could see it being a little closer this week just because I think the games are both very competitive. But yeah, give me San Fran to win this one outright. I'll take the points to be safe.
Yeah, at the 2.5, it is a little bit of a trap line, in my opinion. Obviously, it's very obvious, in my opinion, to take the Eagles minus 2.5 because obviously the field goal wins you that. And, San Fran plus 2.5 doesn't do a whole lot because not many games are determined by 1 or 2 points. Obviously, it happens. So it's definitely a trap line. I admit that. Yeah, I'm just going to go on the – I think you're right. I think Philly had a weak schedule. Haven't really tested anything, but – again, I'm just waiting for Purdy to fall, and I think it's going to be this weekend. Again, I've said this for the last 5-6 weeks, so don't take what I say too seriously. But yeah, that could possibly be a challenge game. I'm pretty high on the Eagles. Sounds like you're pretty high on San Fran. So obviously there's only 2 games. But yeah, we can definitely circle that one. The second game is the AFC Championship. Probably the most anticipated game of the season so far is that Bengals game at Kansas City Chiefs. Originally, when we wrote this morning, the script, the Bengals are -2. Since Chiefs are now -1. So a 3-point swing. I'm probably suggesting that is because of Mahomes' injury report. He looks like he's probably good to go, would be my guess on that. Do you have any other further information of why it's jumped 3?
Yeah, I saw a couple of videos of Mahomes. I think they were yesterday, but didn't seem too phased. So I have to assume it's based on, yeah, either more news on Mahomes or those videos getting around to people.
Yeah, the Cincy -2 was a little ridiculous, and I kind of wish it was still Cincy -2 because I love Cincy so much in this game, and I think that was the obvious trap to take Kansas City plus the points. But I love Cincy, and I'm still going to take Cincy in this matchup, regardless of Patrick Mahomes's availability and health situation. I'm going to take Joe Burrow. He has dominated Kansas City in the past. Yeah, he beat them last year in the AFC Championship. He beat them this regular season 24 to or 27-24. That was at Cincinnati. So this is at Arrowhead, probably the toughest place to play in the playoffs. But we just saw Joe Burrow beat a really good Buffalo team in the snow at Buffalo. It doesn't seem like he's too phased with where the hell he's playing. He just cares about winning. And that's kind of these Bengals team. And I love riding their emotional wave that they have going right now. And I want to jump on board as fast as I can. As much as I hate Ohio, I love Joe Burrow. And it's also, I will note, if you're an Ohio State fan claiming Joe Burrow went to your school, you're a piece of shit. Because no, he did not. He didn't even play a snap at Ohio State. So shut the fuck up. He did not go to Ohio State. And that's the reason I can root for him, because he is an LSU Tiger through and through. No connection with Ohio State. But I love Cincy in this, and I also really like the over in this. Is that 47.5? I know we talk about over-unders. Ethan's not very big on the overs. He told me his record the other day. I actually posted on Twitter. I didn't realize how many unders you took, and I can't take unders. It's one thing I refuse to do. But I like this over. You know, that first matchup was 51 total points. I think this could also be very high scoring, a very similar score. I could see like a 28-24 Cincinnati win, something along those lines. I think taking the under in this game is going to be sweat. You're going to sweat most of the way through it. So I like the over in this, and I'm going to smack the Bengals in this matchup.
All right. Well, once again, I am with you on the total. I love the over in this game. And yeah, for those that didn't see the tweet, I've bet 4 NFL overs this year. Only won one of them, and I don't even think I added this in the tweet, but it was week 1, Detroit, Philadelphia. So I've not had the joy of an NFL over cashing for me since early September. I think I'm going to change that this week. I think I will be on the over, like it quite a bit, and I love Kansas City. Again, I'm going against Cincinnati. It's just what I do. Why jump off at this point? But I really do like Kansas City in this spot. Obviously the concern being Mahomes, but it is Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to gut through it, and he's going to be okay. It's Andy Reid. He's going to have a nice game plan for Mahomes if he is hobbled. A lot of short passes, which they kind of thrive on anyway. I think Kelsey is going to be a monster in this game, getting a lot of short yards after catch, or completions with yards after catch. And I really like the revenge spot here for Kansas City. Obviously, that's been kind of the talk of the town since he owns them. Joe Burrow owns them. They've lost their last 3 against Cincinnati, including this past season and last year's AFC Championship game. And I think Kansas City is just tired of hearing that. I think they think they are, and I believe they are the better team still. They're the top team, not only in the AFC, but in the NFL, as they have been the last couple of years. And I think they're just ready to kind of turn that noise off and show Cincy that they're still the top team in the NFL. So really like the revenge spot. Kansas City 8-1 at home, Cincy 7-3 on the road. It's not a terrible travel spot either way. I don't think that matters too much in this game. I will say, not to make more excuses for Buffalo this past week, they absolutely deserved the ass kicking they got. But I do think the 3 offensive linemen being out were benefited just a little bit by the slippery conditions. I think that was a negative towards the defensive line of Buffalo. This week, the conditions should be better. I believe they're still missing those linemen. And I think the Chiefs are going to have a better pass rush than Buffalo was able to. So, I mean, those backup linemen, they did look really good against Buffalo, but I'm hoping and thinking they won't look quite as good against Kansas City. Kansas City is also second in the NFL in sacks this year. So I think they can cause some troubles for Joe Burrow. Yards per play last 3, kind of been harping on Cincinnati in the stat over the last couple of weeks, but they're still not in the top half of the league in either of them. Yards per play offensively, 23rd, defensively, 17th. Kansas City's top 10 for both, fifth offensively, 10th defensively. And then lastly, you kind of mentioned it, that Cincy it kind of thrives on that underdog mentality, that if people are talking about the NFL selling the tickets to the neutral site AFC Championship game, that really fired them up. I think the game being canceled against Buffalo, taking away that 2, if not potentially 1 seed away from Cincy, fired them up, which I did not put nearly enough stock into. This week, I think it flips. I think Cincy's the cocky team. I don't know if Eli Apple realizes that he has to come out and play again this week. He's talking like they just won the Super Bowl. I mean, he's been all over Twitter just
That's an
talking.
Ohio State piece of shit right there.
Yeah, no kidding. He's getting at everybody, which, I mean, he does that every year. But I just think they're extremely cocky. They're calling Arrowhead Burrowhead because of Burrow owning them. I just think, since he's kind of getting cocky, they wanted to beat Buffalo pretty bad, and they did it. And I just think that was a huge game for them. I think they kind of come back down to reality and get what's coming to them. So I really like Kansas City. I think it's a Kansas City San Francisco Super Bowl rematch from 3 years ago. I think it would be a hell of a game. Like I said, either way, whichever of these 4 teams match up, I think it's gonna be fantastic. But yeah, I really like Kansas City coming into Sunday.
Well, we got 2 games to choose from there. Before we get into the game we choose for the challenge, I will point out one thing for San Fran that's definitely a little, you can maybe keep your, I don't know, keep your mind open to the possibility of Jimmy G maybe returning. He's not playing this weekend, but the Super Bowl is in 2 weeks from Sunday. And he's not, he's out with that. I believe it was some sort of ankle injury. Was never put on IR. So there could be a possibility that Jimmy G comes back. I don't know if they will put him in because Purdy, if Purdy makes it there, it's going to be hard to bench a guy that took you to the Super Bowl late in the season and then through the playoffs and then to bench him. But it's tough also to if Jimmy G's healthy enough to play, it's tough to bench him as well. I'm just pulling at strings here. I know a lot of people are talking about that he was never officially put on IR, but I don't see it happening. But you do get that week-long break or that 2-week break in between the AFC Championship or the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. So that's another week of Jimmy possibly being back. What are your thoughts on that, if you have any?
Yeah, I think they play it kind of like you said. I think Brock 100% gets the start. There's no way you can pull him and start Jimmy G after having 7 weeks off or 8, 9 at that point. But yeah, I mean, if he's available, I think I don't know. I guess now that I'm saying that, I wonder if that'd be a negative to Purdy. He'd have too much pressure on him to perform. If he made one mistake, maybe he'd be nervous about getting benched. I don't know. I I don't think Purdy's a problem per se. I don't think we're going to see him being a problem. I think that
Okay.
team's just too talented around him. So, yeah, I don't think we'll see Jimmy G again this year.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be a tough situation. I doubt he even comes back, but I know there's people on Twitter and on ESPN kind of talking about it. So it was worth
Right.
the mention.
Yep.
So for our challenge last week, we had 2 games we disagreed on, and I was a final determining factor of which one I preferred. So I'm going to give you that honor this week since you did lose. Would you rather have that San Fran game or that Cincy game?
So I think you had mentioned your most confident is going to be a part of the NFC Championship.
It was. I've changed it twice now during the show.
Okay, well, I will take the opposite. Let's pick one for the challenge, one for the most confident. Because
Okay,
I
I'll
feel
just do my most confident, and it's not. I don't know. It's kind of square. I'm doing my most confident is going to be a point total, and it's going to be the over in Kansas City, Cincinnati.
okay. Okay.
So it's not upside on the team there. So that's why
Gotcha.
I feel whatever. Both games would work. So it's your call here.
Okay, let's do the challenge on San Fran, Philly.
Okay. And do you want the points? It doesn't really matter in my opinion.
Yeah,
We'll give them the points, but
I'll take +2.5.
okay. So you're taking San Fran +2.5, and I'm taking those Philly Eagles
Dirty
+5,
birds.
+2.5. My birds or -2.5. All right. I was kind of hoping you're gonna pick the Cincy game, but that's fine. That's fine. I'll take the Eagles. I
I
think
can't get hurt by Cincy twice in a row.
that's true. That's true. I'll take the Eagles. And then yeah, we'll come up with a challenge for that one again. I will be doing my run tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll see what happens, but that will be tomorrow. I will have a video up on that. And as always, we're open to suggestions. Wow, suggestions of what our challenge should be. So, tweet us, comment what you want, and we will do it if we can. So I gave my most confident, and that was the over in the Cincinnati Kansas City game. What is your first of all, what's your status on the legs there?
I have 3 colors left.
And how do you feeling anything besides a little sugar rush?
No. I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Okay.
I'll say that. Yeah, I do have a little bit in the throat. Yeah, it's not
too bad. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of sugar, and I know for me, if I have too much, my stomach just feels like a pit. But
yeah. It was a head rush right off the bat for sure. I'm kind of feeling normal at this point. It's actually pretty tasty, I will say. But yeah, I'll keep updates on Twitter if things start to go south because yeah, I don't expect to feel 100% throughout the day after this, but maybe I will.
and also with Twitter, Ethan's doing a scratch off, I believe daily. Is that correct?
Yeah, for 21 days.
How are those going? Have you won yet?
Yeah, so I've done 3 days so far. I have 18 remaining. Hit my very first one, $5. It took me like 3 minutes to realize I even won. The last 2 were losers. So we're doing one of the actually I have it right here. This cash word.
Those are the money ones.
Yeah. I don't even know. I keep hiding this number on the front. I don't know if you can like look that up and scam me out of my ticket. I don't know, but I don't know much about these things. I get them at Christmas every year and just hope to win. So yeah, thought it'd be fun just to do them on Twitter.
Yeah. So if you're not following Ethan on Twitter, make sure to do that. And we have 18 days left on that one as well. So yeah. So let's go to your most confident. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna write yours down quick. You said Cincy KC over 47.5.
Correct.
Okay.
And I do want to make a note. I had Philly money line 2 units crossed out, Cincinnati money line crossed out, and now I have gone to Cincinnati, Kansas City over. All during the duration of this show. My mind is in shambles right
I tend to do the same thing. The show just I don't know if you sell me a lot or what happens,
well,
but
that should be your first mistake.
right. All right. Well, I'm going with Kansas City money line.
All right.
Think they get it done.
Kansas City money line looks like they're like 115, somewhere around there. I like it. So for my total, obviously there's one other game to pick, and I am gonna do the under in San Fran, Philly.
Love it.
Sitting at 46.5 currently.
I think you're 2-0 at this point.
Hopefully.
That would equal out playoff totals too, 6-6 after 12
exactly.
games.
How should I was so dumb. It's 5-1. Of course, it's gonna go 0-4 to make it 5-5.
Right.
God.
Yeah, Super Bowl is gonna be the tiebreaker. All right, for mine, I'm going with your most confident, Cincy KC over 47.5.
Okay. Cincy KC over. All right, I like it. And then for my player prop, this one's gross. I am gonna put 3 units on it though. I have Brock Purdy over 8.5 rushing yards. It's the squarest player prop you can ever imagine. But here's the thought process here. The Eagles have the 6th best pass defense. I think they have a great D line that will give a lot of pressure. I think San Fran's going to be down a majority of this game, which forces Brock to throw, have more passing opportunities. And then because of that, and the Eagles secondary, as well as their defensive line, I think he's going to be scrambling a lot. Eagles are also 29th in yards allowed per, or rush yards allowed for quarterbacks. So 3rd worst in the league in quarterback rush yards. Brock Purdy is obviously very mobile and agile. So I like Brock Purdy over 8.5 rushing yards. I believe he gets on 1 scramble alone. And obviously sacks do not count for rushing yards.
I like that.
Minus 120. So I'm putting 3 on that to win 3 units or to win 3.
I like it. I just realized we're coming to the end of the show and I still have a couple colors here. I think I might have outsquared you on this one because I'm
Oh
probably taking
God.
the squarest prop ever. Um, Everyone's going to be on it. I have not seen anything about it yet, but I can almost guarantee it's probably going to be the most bet prop of the week. I'm taking Travis Kelsey anytime touchdown, minus 110. How can I pass that up?
I love that though. I think I mean, first of all, he's a touchdown machine. Second of all, he's a touchdown machine in the playoffs. And third of all, he's Mahomes' best target now that Tyreek is gone. Even when Tyreek was there, he was still his favorite target. So
Yeah. And now
that's
Mahomes can't scramble around and find one of these other guys deep. You're going to
yeah.
have plays drawn up for Kelsey.
That does though his Mahomes' lack of mobility does rule out that little shuffle pass that they're notorious for on the end zone. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one of Kelsey's favorite plays. So that you are losing that play opportunity. Mahomes can't run that much because who's going to bite on Mahomes hobbling on a option or whatever. So yeah, obviously that's a great play. I actually have that in a couple player parlay touchdowns. I also a couple that I don't have. I'll just quickly mention. So I'll give you a couple more times to finish that. But I really like Christian McCaffrey over rushing yards. He's at 60.5, which is really low. I know the Eagles kind of shut down Saquon last week, but Saquon still had 63 rushing yards. So I do think Christian McCaffrey will get that at 60.5. It's very low. It's definitely a trap. Joe Mixon, rushing yards.
Okay.
Sorry, completely went on a wrong loop there. I'm going to edit that out because that was terrible.
Yep.
Joe Mixon, rushing yards. Kansas City and Cincy's first time they played, Mixon was out. So it was Perrine, or however you pronounce his last name. He had 110 rushing yards in that matchup. Kansas City, as we did say, has a great D line, but unfortunately their rushing defense is not great. Joe Mixon looked wonderful last weekend. They finally had a rushing game that we talked about that has been their downfall most of the end of the season. So Mixon got going. I can see him getting going once again. And I like him. I believe he is at 63.5 rushing yards. I like both Mixon and McCaffrey over rushing yards. Just went on a huge rant there, but thank God for editing, guys. You can just edit that out.
I like it. Two more I'll throw in there. They're going to be anytime touchdowns again, but I just think the price is kind of too good to be true. McCaffrey to score. I think he scored every game except the first one. Yep. As a 49er. I think that's minus 120. And I think Jalen Hurts is plus 120 to get in the end zone. And he just seems to get in almost every game. I know you had him last week, obviously, as your player prop. As I mentioned last week, that was my second had I not wanted to take Cole Beasley, which backfired right in my face. But yeah, I think those are pretty decent prices. Probably as square as could be all three of those. But
it pays to be square. We found that out.
We did. And then lastly, I just have a little bit of purple left. So I don't know if you can see that, but bottoms up.
That is so much sugar. That is just a gross amount of sugar. But he did it. Didn't even complain that much. And yeah, hopefully we'll get an update later on the day. Hopefully his stomach handles that relatively well. I think it is required that you have to do a pretty intense workout to get that stomach moving up and down to see what happens there. But yeah, that's pretty good, man. I applaud you for that. I don't think I'll be able to handle that much sugar.
I gotta say, not the challenge I thought it would be. I'm actually kind of sad it's gone. That shit was pretty good.
Was it kind of like those pixie sticks a little bit?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it is just a lot. Like,
yeah, that's look quite a bit thicker than a pixie stick and obviously way longer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was good, but I was expecting more of a little jitter, more sour. But hey, how was I to know until I tried it?
Yeah. And again, please give us suggestions on the challenge. As I said, I will have a video up probably tomorrow night, if not Saturday morning, of my, as of right now, half marathon that I will be attempting to run tomorrow. I will also post my mileage of that with my running time. So you can criticize my slow mile time, but we're trying to aim for a 9-minute mile on average. So we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm going to get that if it is anything over 10 miles, but I'll keep you updated on that. We will have a video out on that as well. Anything to add, Ethan, before we wrap up here?
No, yeah, I hope for your sake and mine, Sparty comes out and plays well tonight. I'll probably be back on Hogarth's assists again tonight. I've been riding them game in, game out, but they are set at 6.5. So good for you. Not so great for me. Usually they're 5.5. So I hope he goes off, gets 8, 9, 10 for you. That'd be pretty cool. And yeah, just one last time for the viewer's sake, just give me a go green.
Yeah, I'll get you a go green.
Go white.
Go white. Big game tonight. But also huge games this weekend. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. Please comment and share this. And again, we need more ideas for challenges. But that is all we got so far. Follow us on both Twitter. We're on TikTok and subscribe on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Hopefully you have a good weekend and make some money.
Thanks, guys.